Hey guys, welcome back to Globetrekker Gaming. Today I'll be continuing my gameplay of Suzerain, so let's get going. So on the last video, I met with, I believe he was the political director, and we just went over some plans to kind of reform the Constitution and everything. So on this part, I'm going to continue with a few more of the requirements to do here. I just want to see a few of these things on the side here. So the news, the fire strikes the Whole Sword State Archive. What do we have here? President Anton Rayne. Another great win. First congratulations came from Casaro Cabener of the National Front Party. Economists. Let's see. I'm just kind of seeing what we have here. Swordfish National League starts season. Radical, the ISM incident. What was this here? A bloody protest that occurred. How many times will people... This seems like kind of like the like, anti-current government magazine, or newspaper here. Geopolitics, Rumberg coming south. So Rumberg definitely seems like the enemy one that we're getting here. I think I remember that when I was looking through the previous one. So let's just see what we have here for the overview. Law. Something about... Yeah, because I know we're... What's the Reform Committee here? Okay, so yeah, we're trying to get the Constitution amended so that way... our guy has more power in the Supreme Court, who has an overwhelming amount of power, apparently. The Supreme Court doesn't have nearly as much power, so that's kind of the big thing we talked about with the political director before. So I'm just going to go right here and then see what else we have. Because I know the briefing on the current economic situation is the next thing I had going on here. I just want to see this report on the GNA preparing the Tourism Act. The Grand National Assembly is readying the Sordland Tourism and Cultural Preservation Act. And it aims to enhance the cultural and tourism appeal of several cities. Okay, sounds great to me. I mean, if it gets to my guy's desk, I'll sign it, assuming that's part of the option here. And the public opinion report. The people's views has changed over the last decade. Reformers' propaganda have resulted in a massive increase in the demands for democratic reforms. And 55% of the population supports. Okay, fair enough. The police report on the fire, let's see, that's something that showed up. Near to complete destruction. Oh, that's too bad. But records dating back to 1890. The extent of the damage is worse. General Staff gathers. The General Staff convened right after the election to congratulate our victory. All branches of the Swordfish Armed Forces were represented. And Valken Kruger made a public press statement highlighting the increasing chances of military confrontation in eastern Mokopa and requested support. So I guess this definitely, oops, didn't even go up that way. This definitely shows kind of like a lot of things you have to deal with as, you know, like a head of state there, because you have all the military things, the economic things, and so on there. Let's get right to the next meeting here on the current economic situation. So Simon Hall, Gus Menger, and Lilius Graf are about to arrive. This is the room, in the White Room, this is the room in the Maroon Palace where all important meetings were held. Two assistants arrived first, carrying a heavy projector. They stood by the door. From the hallway, I heard Lilias Graf's voice. She was using the patient, almost motherly tone she always used. Gus, do you really think that such an economically advanced area is more of a need of investment than ag land? Lilius, my interior minister, strode in. She was clad in shades of brown and beige, the only spot of color, a bright yellow dust turnist cross on her necklace. Gus followed close behind. Don't be an idiot, Lilius. What about the unemployment crisis in the greater Holsord and Gelsland regions? These areas are economic heartland. It kind of has these, like, different, like, it has, like, backstories with it, but it kind of, like, skews them as like, oh, let's just happen to be talking about this so that way you know, but it's really not giving you a backstory, it's just having a conversation. Gus curled his hands in a fist. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development's temper hadn't changed since his days in the Alfonso administration, but neither had his reputation for getting things done. And his far-reaching network was unlike any other. And then Simon Hole quickly stepped between the two ministers without looking at either of them. He cleared his throat. So what, like, two of them are gonna, or these two are gonna get in a fight or something, I guess? Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. Should I ask what the debate's about? Nah, I'm just gonna let them argue. I'm just gonna say good morning. So I'm very well and motivated, Mr. Rayne. It seems our ministers are feeling the same. Just as expected, how's it going? I can clearly see that. What was that discussion about? Or great to hear. Let's begin. Let's just ask him what it's about at this point. We're having a discussion about the infrastructure plans. If I may, I would like to talk to you about the... I'm gonna guess the Lilius is gonna cut him off. Simon interrupted. We will get there, Gus. No rush. Okay, never mind. I thought the other one was gonna do that. First, I would like to conduct my economy presentation. I am interested in what Gus has to say. Yeah, actually, I want to know what he has to say. Of course, Mr. President. Sorry, I have some very good construction companies willing to take government contracts in the greater Holsord and Gelsland regions. This would boost the rural economy. I think it would be wise to pick up investments. This seems like a good opportunity. You know what? Yeah, let's do that. Whatever we can do to start building it up, and I'm sure it's probably going to cause some financial things, but let's just do this here. Right, additionally, we can... Lilius interrupted him. A wise idea if your main agenda is to make money instead of developing the region and serving the people. Lilius, could you watch your tone? Let's see what she has to say. Of course, the argument is simple. Agneland is our weakest region, both in terms of economic and social support. We should support the city of Arvory and its respected mayor. How impartial could he really be? Is, like, Gus saying, like, Lilius is being too, biased there? Why are you questioning? I agree. What are your thoughts? Let's see what Simon has to say. Or Simon, I'm not sure what that is. I have to say I agree with both of them. Agneland is in need of investment, and we can improve Greater Holsord and Gelsland. I want to avoid this topic now, since we will talk about it in the future. I would rather first fully brief you on our current. I'm going to agree with him. This sounds like something that's going to be dealt with down the road, and I kind of already agreed to that first part there, but let's deal with it later. My staff and I have comprehensively analyzed every aspect of... He was interrupted by groan from one of the assistants, both who were now visibly struggling to hold up the projector. Oh, you can put that there. That seemed kind of a little unnecessary there. Could have just set it down, but it's kind of, I guess, a little bit of comic relief with it. So he pointed below the painting, and the assistants placed the projector on the table. Leave now. I mean, thank you, and please leave now. This Simon guy seems like kind of voice of reason, but also, for lack of better words, kind of a douche. So I was reminded that Simon had never quite had a way with people, but his facility with numbers had made him one of the most sought-after economic specialists. And he started looking for his slides. Wait. Simon, what happened to the new police station construction in Estord? I like these, like, random city names they have. While going through his briefcase, he paused for a moment to answer. It got stalled due to government property boundary issues. I've been meaning to look at it. I can take a look at that one. Estord needs all the security it can get. Sure, more time for me to spend it on analyses. And are we gonna get to the point, or are they just gonna keep, like, randomly having conversations about things? There have been some developments about the Sordish Wren. I guess that's the currency. Losing further value today, we've been trying to stabilize it with the central bank. The recession of '51 put enormous pressure on the economy, resulting in the collapse of the value of our currency. The entire situation was a significant cause of concern for our administration. Since economics is your forte, Mr. Rayne, it is possible that you may already be aware of the data. I can still explain the current economic situation. So GDP and debt, unemployment and inflation rate, and status of the recession. Say GDP, because I always like to build up the economy as a whole, and then I feel like prosperity will come with that. Current GDP is 310 billion Sordish Wren, and the debt is 427 billion. It sounds almost like the US currently, with a higher debt than the GDP is worth. It's still hard to fathom that we lost nearly 150 billion in wealth. The past 3 years were tough. What is the status? I have all the information needed. Let's see the employment and inflation rate. So 16% unemployment and a 10% inflation. Okay, let's try to get that down to single digits. Unemployment is increasing crime and drug use. We need to get people off the streets. The inflation isn't helping the average citizen either. What's the status? Okay, I guess might as well get to all the points it's throwing at me. So what's the status of the recession? Been a recession of about -6% in the past year. And the average GDP has dropped from 15,000 per capita to 10,000 from 1951 to now. The administration's success depends on our ability to stop the recession. The sooner we can reach GDP growth, the better. Okay, so let's move on to the economic strategies. Simon scattered the paper stack in front of him in an orderly manner and took the final look before clearing his throat. As you can see, the situation is alarming, but not everything is negative. The extensive privatization program of Alfonso and key foreign direct investments left us a huge budget surplus. Okay, fair enough. is what general path will take. Salonomics-based nationalization happened in the 30s, and Alfonso's privatization began in the 40s. What will our administration focus on? Promote a free market economy. Frank, I believe it's the only way. That's something I fully agree with, so I'm going to try to keep promoting that agenda. Okay, Lilius, I do not support it. No, I don't. Lilius is wrong. I want to try to minimize the effect of government and just make it so that way the economy can work its best there. Because the lack of competition has made them inefficient. What are the consequences of the free market? The more of the economy we control, the downsides of the planned economy. I'm gonna go with excuse me. I'm gonna go with the 20th century is thriving because of the rule of supply and demand. Let's look at how quickly Lesbian and Arcasia have increased their prosperity. Let's go with that. And Sordland has the potential to do so as well. Why don't we take our potential seriously? I fully agree with him. If we had extensive means of production, our industry is lacking. Well, Lilius, guess we're gonna have to invest in more infrastructure then. Or production, I should say. The structural problems of Solonomics were going to lead to a recession according to the predictions. Either way, if we pick one of the doctrines, we retain the option to make economic choices on a case-by-case basis. That is, however, not recommended in my point of view. The last thing we need is a chaotic economic plan. Finally, something we can agree on. There's another important point to which has a direct impact on our economy: superpowers. I'm still against aligning ourselves with any superpowers. Economically speaking, we are much more closer to Arcasia than the United Cortana, so a decision to align to the West makes more sense. I agree with him, because if we have like a capitalist, like a strong capitalist ally when we're trying to promote capitalist ideals, I think that's what can help our country go too, and then hopefully we can get some investment from them as well. We must be very cautious. There are schemes being devised about Sordland. We cannot give in to their wants. Otherwise, we'll turn into a pawn. I want you to reconsider your promise to align with Arcasia. I made a promise, I won't back down. Don't worry, I won't let Arcasia control. Entering the sphere of Arcasia will help boost our economy in many ways. They're wealthy and influential. You may be right, let's see what the future brings. I'm debating between these two here. I'm just gonna say that one, because that's kind of what I was just saying about before. I think, like, keep it limited, but also, you know, have them be allies and hopefully benefit the country. So I like to think of it as a very valuable partnership. With deals like this, we'll get by aligning ourselves with a strong country. Recession would surely end in no time. In return for what? Sordland's independence? When the time comes, I hope you'll make this right decision for our own good. I get Lilius's point, but I feel like she also can be just, like, overly pessimistic. We should attract more foreign direct investment. We save the country from a full-on depression in 52 and 53 by signing lucrative trade deals with Rizia, Lesbia, and Quinal. And let's not get ahead of ourselves. Minister Wissy will be in charge of informing you. We must first decide on our internal economic plan. Legal document. We have to thank Sol and his planned economy for the boom. Let's finish what Alfonso started with the capitalist free market reforms. Long-term economic schedule, and would a free market bring us stronger allies? Let's try that one. It would make Arcasia look at our country in a more positive light. They are proponents of the free market economy. The influence Arcasia has in the world economy is extensive. Our economic strategy should be based on internal reasoning. I'm gonna say what? With the capitalist free market reforms. The recession was the direct result of his free market reforms. Lilius is such a buzzkill on this. Like, I mean, I get that's her job, but every time I say anything, it's like, nope, bad, nope, bad. History must note that the reason for the recession was because Ewald Alfonso was betrayed by his party. That is not true. There's plenty of time for him to do it. If you can't make change happen in 2 years, then you are at fault. What's our long-term economic schedule? Let's see what that is. Picking a construction company, trade relations, tax reform, and privatization initiatives will be some of them. Sticking to a solid planned economy strategy will be the right call. She's, like, really solidifying this whole planned economy thing. Let's move to the conclusion. What are your final thoughts, Mr. President? Critical institutions must remain in state control. We should look at opportunities like privatization. A market economy doesn't require as much guidance. It can help us attract foreign capital. Yeah, I'm sticking with the market economy. I'm like really trying to sell on that. Especially from Arcasia. President Walker, what's his name? Dwight Walker, okay, is always interested in expanding the economic zone of ATO. Well, that was like, I think I remember in the part 2 I saw, it was like the Arcasian Treaty Organization. I'm assuming that's supposed to be like NATO in this game. We can secure lucrative investments from capitalist countries. So what will our general economic plan promote? Promote a free market economy? Yep, that's what I've been trying to get at this whole time. I can't... Lilius, we know your standpoint on this. Like, stop butting in. And she looks displeased. Well, you know, deal with it, Lilius. You can take your socialism and take it to some other country on here. Now that there's clarity on which direction we are heading, I will work on a good plan accordingly. This concludes our meeting. At our next gathering, we will talk about the upcoming infrastructure investment plan. And now that the economic direction was taken, the ministers dispersed for lunch at the Maroon Palace. Alright, perfect. So yeah, sounds like things are starting to heat up quite a bit for our country here. So that's going to end it for part 3. Thank you very much for watching, and stay tuned for part 4.